What am I thankful for? 1, my children, my wife, my family, my friends, all my loved ones. Very thankful for them. Number 2, I'm thankful to Mother Nature for this beautiful earth that we live and breathe on every day. Number 3, thank God I'm an American. Number 4, I'm thankful to all the heritage farmers that keep heritage breeds from going extinct. And 5, I am thankful for this specific turkey. It's drop dead gorgeous. I'm using everything on that bird. Nothing is going to waste. I will honor you, turkey bird. Instead of roasting this bird whole, I decided I wanted to break it down into pieces and cook them all differently. Why did I want to do that? Because I like making things more complicated than they need to be. And I was just excited as about this turkey. It's a heritage breed turkey. It's a specific breed from a specific genetic line that can be traced back for hundreds of years. Raised by a heritage farmer in Kansas. It's not mass-produced and intensively bred like the turkeys you see in most grocery stores. It's much more like the gorgeous, healthy turkeys our ancestors ate. Expensive turkey. Most expensivest turkey. But it's worth every penny because heritage breeds are the tastiest of all the livestock. I'm Shabumi Jones. Thanks for coming and welcome to my turkey dinner party. I have prepared an amuse-bouche and an aperitif. An amuse-bouche is a bite-sized portion, a little tiny appetizer, and an aperitif is a light cocktail that opens up your appetite. It stimulates your appetite. The first thing you'll be tasting on my turkey in this amuse-bouche is the liver. I could have just put the liver in with the giblet gravy, but I wanted to showcase it more than that. So I just did a rustic liver pate, seared the turkey, I added some shallots deglazed with some wine and some sherry, added some pink salt in there to preserve the color a little bit. I didn't have any quatre épices, so I used pumpkin pie spice. Really good in there. Added some butter and some port wine in there, and obviously salt and pepper in there as well. And that is served with a cranberry walnut bread, which is toasted with some winter herb garlic butter. So winter herbs being poultry herbs, being rosemary, thyme, and sage. That is topped with a cranberry compote. Cranberry sauce, just some fresh cranberries, some orange peel, rosemary, and cinnamon stick. I also put in some maple syrup and let that cook down. So we got the tart cranberry sauce, the super rich liver pate, the hearty bread with the really herby garlic butter. And that is paired with an aperitif, a Cosmo spritz. So your regular Cosmo has cranberry juice, Cointreau, orange triple sec liqueur, and vodka, but we didn't do vodka in this one. I wanted to keep it light. You don't want people to just get wasted in the beginning of a dinner party when they haven't eaten anything yet. Did cava instead of vodka. I shook some cranberry juice with some Cointreau. I added in a little bit of fresh squeezed orange juice as well, and a rosemary sprig too, just to kind of give a little bit of herbiness. Shook that with some ice and then poured it in the flute with the raw cranberry that was in there, and then I topped it off with some cava. What I like about the Cosmo spritz is it's all kind of like fall winter themed flavors. Cranberries reach their peak in fall, and citrus reaches its peak in winter. So that's, you've got the orange, which is the citrus, and then you have the cranberries, which is kind of the fall aspect to it. So it's a nice winter spritz, and the perfect thing to get your appetite ready to kind of open and get you excited to consume more food. So for the turkey breast, I decided I was just gonna basically roast it. The white meat or the light meat isn't as complex as dark meat, so I just wanted to keep it simple with this one. I did brine the breasts. You don't really need to with a heritage bird. They're very flavorful. They're not like the sort of bland poultry you might get mass produced by a big company. These are very flavorful birds. But I decided I wanted the flavor to kind of reach its full potential. So I did a salt brine at a little bit lower ratio than I would normally do with a regular poultry, just because this is a special bird. I didn't want to overpower it with salt. I just wanted to highlight what was already there. I did a 4% salt solution, brined it overnight, took it out, rinsed it off, let it sit in the fridge for another day, let it dry out. Then I rubbed it in winter herb garlic butter, sage, thyme, and rosemary, some garlic, butter, roasted them in the oven just on a rack, skin side up, until they reached about 161, 162, let them rest, and the internal temperature reached 165 after resting. Then I sliced it into slices and I served it with giblet gravy. For the giblet gravy, what I normally do for giblet gravy, it's very simple. I use the neck, the heart, and the gizzard. I sauteed those in a little bit of olive oil, added some mirepoix, deglazed with a little bit of white wine, a couple cups of water, and I just let it simmer for about 45 minutes. I strained it, made a roux with just a little bit of flour and butter, toasted the roux to cook out the flour taste, added in my stock, and let it reduce until it was thick enough to what I wanted. And yeah, that's the giblet gravy. I just poured it on top of the breast. Very simple. So for the drums and the wings, well, first of all, the drums or the dark meat is a lot more complex, so I got a little more complicated with this cooking method. I decided I wanted to confit the wings and the drums in bacon fat for 12 hours. And then I wanted to smoke them, you know, for a couple hours on the smoker with some pecan wood. I had a lot of bacon fat. I don't like to waste anything on an animal, so I save all the fat all the time, and I really like to use for confit for a lot of different things. Rendered or melted down the bacon fat in a pan, some rosemary, garlic, and onions to it, and I let them just kind of fry in the fat. I let it cool down, and then the way I confit it is my favorite way to confit, using the sous vide cooking method. Super clean and super efficient. You need about a third or less of the amount of fat you would normally need. It got super tender in there. After 12 hours, I took it out, drained the fat. I just wanted the skin to get a little bit of smoke on it. I didn't want to do too much smoke, so I only did about 2.5 hours. It was just nice and tender with a little bit of smoke on the outside. Barbecue to me is not really delicate. Every dish has a story, but the story of barbecue is much more gritty and blood, sweat, and tears. A story of survival, but it can also be a story of celebration. It's complicated, it's tricky, it takes a long time to fine-tune your craft. It is a very complex culinary art, but you don't plate it fancy, in my opinion. These heritage turkeys, they have really dark, rich meat. It's so flavorful and so complex and so delicious. I did a thigh roulade. And I did a mushroom stuffing. To pair with the rich dark meat, I wanted it to be super earthy with the mushrooms. I sauteed the wild mushrooms, got a lot of color on them, salt and some spices, some winter spices, and I also added in some garlic breadcrumbs as well. I grinded it all up together. I even added a little bit of balsamic in there and got it like super finely ground. It's like you're eating a meat and a stuffing together in one. I butterflied the thigh, seasoned it with salt, spread out all the stuffing, rolled it up, put the skin back around it, trussed it, put it in a vacuum seal bag, and then I sous vide it for 12 hours till it got super tender. Took it out. I removed the butcher's twine off of it. I briefly roasted it in the oven just to get a little bit of warmth on it and kind of crisp up the outside a little bit more. Sliced it, and then I served that with a turkey stock reduction. For the turkey stock reduction, I used all the rest of the bones. I kind of cut down the carcass a little bit so it would fit in my crock pot. I made a stock just like I normally would for anything. I roasted the bones so they got nice and roasty toasty, and then I put those in the crock pot with some mirepoix, white wine, and some aromatics, as well as filled it up with water, and I let that cook for about 24 hours. Strained it out and let it sit in the fridge. Once it cooled down and all the fat came to the top, I skimmed the fat off the top. I reduced it down till it got super flavorful and rich and dark. I didn't even add any salt to this. I didn't need any salt at all. It was such concentrated flavor. This stock from these bones, from this turkey, is the darkest, richest poultry stock I've ever had in my life. For me, it was comparable to the light beef stock. There was so much flavor. I normally do regular mashed potatoes using, russet potatoes or Yukon Golds and a lot of butter and creme fraiche. This year I thought I'm gonna do sweet potatoes because they're such a beautiful color and they have a lot of flavor. Did what I normally do. I cooked them in some salted water, then blended them with a lot of butter, seasoned them with salt. That's it, super simple, super delicious. And I actually drizzled on some of the turkey stock reduction too, and it kind of pooled on top of the mashed potatoes, and that was Thank you for joining me. I am thankful for you. Don't be a stranger now. I want to see you again.
Thank you.